Many have either come to their own conclusion by the dismissal of the 12-tribe chart, stating that it's made up from one man and writing all 12 tribes off as scattered or Negro only, which is dismissive and requires no intelligence or study. Those unlearned in the truth fall victim and repeat only what they've heard without studying. And a part of those concepts is who Esau is. Well, today I hope to shed light and provide who Esau or Edom is. This is not a racial attack or bias, but simply drawing parallels from the Bible as well as proofs. I hope that those of you watch with an open mind, and this is who is Esau biblically.
Ashes. Hill the church ruin is the scene of evil doing. The place where all blacks tonight. Watch them eating dead rats in the hut. I guess it's the same. Wherever you may go, oh Lord,
Bereshit, or Genesis 25:21 through 27. And Yitzchak entreated Yahuwah for his wife, because she was barren, and Yahuwah was entreated of him, and Ribkah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people shall be born of you, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Now it must be understood, 2 separate nations would come from Ribkah, and the other shall serve the younger, that being Esau the eldest shall serve Jacob the younger. Here Yahuwah is given a prophetic destination of both children before they were born. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment, and he called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Yitzchak was 60 years old when she bore them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a quiet man, dwelling in tents. Now what should be noted is that Esau came out red and hairy, while there is no further detail given for Jacob, considering he looked normal as his mother and father. Drawing a parallel, Esau came out as we know today as white. When some white people are in the sun too long, they become red. Being hairy can also be attributed to many white men, although blacks, Latinos, and others can be hairy as well. Some cannot fathom how a white person could come from 2 black parents, and how can this be if they were twins? I've personally seen this, where 2 brothers were born, one white or albino, while his brother was still black. The description of red describes the lack of melanin in Esau's skin, which would reflect more flesh than not. Esau would be a skillful hunter, while Jacob would dwell in tents. Spiritually speaking, white people have an enthusiasm for hunting, while many blacks, Latinos, and natives can be more domestic, for lack of better terms. While Esau was in the field, Jacob would dwell in tents. Now, according to the Targums, as spoken of in the book of Jubilee, the tents refers to academies. Jacob was a lifelong student of the Torah, while Esau refused to learn to read or write, thereby refusing to study the scriptures, on page 77. So here we have an account of a few differences. In essence, Esau was concerned about worldly matters, enjoying life, while Jacob was concerned about biblical matters, keeping the laws and serving Yahuwah. The birthright. Bereshit or Genesis 25:29 through 34. And Jacob boiled pottage when Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray you, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom, which means red. Now the argument people try to present is that the pottage was rare meat, while others point out it was actually lentils. So he couldn't be red, or in other words, white. But what needs to be understood is that there are different varieties of lentils, and the best variety, according to the Critical Bible Encyclopedia of 1901, suggests the best variety of them to make pottage is red lentils. I'll provide a painting later that may surprise you, but moving forward. And Jacob said, Sell me this day your birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point of death, and what profit shall this birthright be to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. This is the beginning of hatred towards Jacob and his descendants. But as mentioned, before they were born, their fates had already been decided. Romans 9:11. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Elohim according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calls. Moving forward, the blessing before Yitzchak passed. Now, according to the book of Jubilees, Abraham and Rivkah favored Jacob, and Abraham knew that in Jacob his seed would be called, but Yitzchak favored Esau because he loved to eat of his venison. It was later revealed to Rivkah that Jacob should receive the blessing. 2 Ezra 6:9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. This is represented when Esau comes out first, but Jacob has hold of his heel and comes out right after. This is also reference of the kingdom set up by Yahusha. Bereshit or Genesis 27:1 through 13. And it came to pass that when Yitzchak was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here I am. And he said, Behold now, I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray you, your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory food, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die. And Rivkah heard when Yitzchak spoke to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rivkah spoke unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard your father speak unto Esau your brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory food, that I may eat, and bless you before Yahuwah, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command you. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from there 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory food for your father, such as he loves. And you shall bring it to your father, that he may eat, and that he may bless you before his death. And Jacob said to Ribekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father perhaps will fill me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be your curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go bring me them. So what we have here is the staging of the blessing about to take place. Now I'm going to skip down to the blessings. Verse 28 through 30. Therefore Elohim give you of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be everyone that curses you, and blessed be he that blesses you. And it came to pass, as soon as Yitzchak had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Yitzchak his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. Verse 37 through 40, the blessing of Esau. And Yitzchak answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him your master, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with grain and with wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto you, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Have you but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Yitzchak his father answered and said unto him, Behold, your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of the heavens from above. And by your sword shall you live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you shall have the dominion, that you shall break his yoke from off your neck. In addition to this was a blessing given by Yahuwah to Esau for a certain respect he had for Yitzchak. I couldn't find the chapter, but I believe it's in the Antiquities of the Jews by Josephus. But recalling from memory, because Esau would wear his best garment when taking an order from his father Yitzchak, he was blessed that he would have the best of things in life. So now we have more clues. As mentioned, Esau's descendants would eventually break the yoke from Jacob, becoming of greater power. Their dwellings would be the fatness of the earth, and as the dew of the heavens, referencing being found in the best of places, as well as everywhere on earth. And finally, they would live by the sword, for their blessing is war. The countries and places they have gotten throughout history have been attained by bloodshed. Now, there are arguments that suggest Josephus said they were twins and that one was hairy and the other was not, and that they only differed in this one thing. But according to Dr. Michael Obvious, states Josephus, due to the times he lived during Roman rule, he openly omitted and changed some biblical accounts to prevent animosity between the Judeans and the Romans, considering the Romans were descendants of Esau. while the Judeans were descendants of Jacob. This confirms that some of the texts pertaining to Esau were corrupt or changed, especially around the identity of Edom, who by the Greeks were referred to as Idumea. Others have argued Red and Rudy as it pertains to Esau and King David. What should be understood is that there is more than one definition as it applies to Hebrew, depending in the context it is used. Blood can continually be seen in the flesh of white people, while blood can also be seen in others with melanin, for example, blushing, or one can be brown and have a reddish blush to the skin. But in reference to King David, the term Rudy is used as having a beautiful consonance and not merely read as someone who has white skin. I also have paintings of King David which depict him as being dark brown. The other argument is that all of Edom died years ago, so there are no more Edomites today, but this is false. In the Book of Jubilees, page 132 to 134, after the death of Yitzchak and Ribkah, Esau was enticed by his children to wage war against Jacob and his sons, and if he refused to join them, they threatened to harm him. He then began to remember all that befell him concerning his brother, and once more awoken the hatred for his brother Jacob. Jumping forward after the battle between Esau and Jacob, Yasher 58:28. But from that day forward the children of Esau hated the sons of Jacob, and the hatred and enmity were very strong between them all the days until this day. Yasher 60:1-2. And when the year came around, being the 70th year from the Yasherites going down to Egypt, after the death of Joseph, Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, fled from Egypt, he and his men, and they went away. And he came to Africa, which is Dinhabah, to Angus, king of Africa, and Angus received them with great honor, and he made Zepho the captain of his host. This begins the gathering of Edom's strength, armies, and people to fight against the sons of Jacob. Yasher 61:24-25. And the children of Kittim saw the valor of Zepho, and the children of Kittim resolved, and they made Zepho king over them, and he became king over them. And while he reigned, they went to subdue the children of Tubal and all the surrounding islands. Now these surrounding islands became the Roman Empire. And their king Zepho went at their head, and they made war with Tubal and the islands, and they subdued them. And when they returned from the battle, they renewed his government for him, and they built for him a very large palace for his royal habitation and seat, and they made a large throne for him. And Zepho reigned over the whole land of Chittim and over the land of Italia 50 years. Now we have the Edomites gaining strength and building up their reign of Edom and proceeding into what we know today as Europe. Of course, there were Yasherites who ruled in Europe and other places as well, as this is documented. Meanwhile, while all this is taking shape in the background, Yasharal went through various periods of servitude in the land of Yasharal, until eventually the continual breaking of Yahuwah's laws and commandments caused them to be removed from the land. The first were the northern kingdom, which is found in the book of 2 Ezra 13:40-45. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Uzziah the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of heathens, and go forth into a further country, where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Ephrates, by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the water, till they were passed over. For through the country there was a great way to go, namely 1.5 years, and the same region is called Ezreth. When you look this up on JewishEncyclopedia.com, This is America. Now, when the southern kingdom fled into Africa, it was to escape persecution by the Romans in 70 AD. Luke 21:20-24. And when you shall see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, then know that its desolation is near. Then let them who are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them who are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the country enter into it. For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that nurse children in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Those of the southern kingdom fled to the mountains, and when you look at a map, past the mountains it leads into Africa. This verse also verifies that they would be captured and led away captive into all nations, slavery, and Gentiles or foreigners would trod down Jerusalem in their absence. And now, as we understand, Rome is Edom, including the split of power to the various reigns, while also beginning to keep their identity hidden and whitewashing paintings of biblical Yashvilites. Obadiah 1:3-4. The pride of your heart has deceived you, you that dwelt in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that says in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Making reference to a higher living than most generally speaking, also is another character attribute, pride. Though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set your nest among the stars, from there will I bring you down, says Yahuwah. Edom or Idumea has gone to the moon, and as a common symbol used as their calling card is the eagle, as seen on some of these coins. Verse 11. And the day that you stood on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered in his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even you were as one of them. Those foreigners who entered into Israel today are the Khazars, whom we know today as the white Jews. These impostor Jews have also mixed themselves with both the Edomites and other races, both within and outside Israel, and the foreigners among Israel have cast lots, splitting up the land as it is to this day. As stated before, because the Hebrews broke the commands of Yahuwah and would not hearken, they were then removed out of their land and scattered all around the world in various countries. Devarim or Deuteronomy 28:49-51. Yahuwah shall bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue you shall not understand, a nation of fierce consonants, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle, and the fruit of your land, until you are destroyed, who also shall not leave you either grain, wine, or oil, or the increase of your cattle, or offspring of your sheep, until he has destroyed you. As mentioned again, the eagle is spoken of as being synonymous with the Roman Empire, which is Edom or Esau. Lastly, Daniel 2:36-44. Daniel interprets Nebuchadnezzar's dream. This is the dream, and we will tell its interpretation before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings, for the Elohim of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wherever the children of men dwell, the beast of the field and the fowl of the heavens, has he given it into your hands, and he made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold, and after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to you, and another third kingdom of bronze, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, since iron breaks in pieces and subdues all things. And as iron that breaks all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And as you saw the feet and the toes, part of the potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it strength of the iron, just as you saw the iron mixed with merely clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And as you saw iron mixed with merely clay, they shall mingle themselves with the descendants of men, but they shall not hold one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the Elohim of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. As we see, these are prophetic reigns, and the last kingdom to rule before Yahushua's return is an extension of Rome, or Edom. This would mean that the descendants of Esau are alive and well, and are currently ruling. Now I'd like to provide proofs of Hebrew Yashvalites being black as well as Idumeans or Edomites being depicted as white. And lastly, in the Vernet Monastery of Romania, there is a Hebrew mural depiction of the judgment. In this painting is a clear distinction between the Yashvalites and the Edomites as it pertains to Revelations. Revelations 13:10. If any man has an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All praise and glory belongs to Yahuwah, and to Yahushua HaMashiach and the Holy Spirit, and to you and yours, Shalom.